Hey traders, Kyle Fisher here. It is August 30th, roughly 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Pretty boring day across the board. Honestly, our trades, were very, very flat to say really nothing else. And I wanted to enter a new position, but I was hesitant just given where the overall market is, which I'm going to break down right now. So, what we're looking at currently is the Dow. This position, for the most part, has been pretty stagnant. We are holding support, but there's a few things that I'm a little weary on. So really, if we wanted to take a look at that, the really big thing that's kind of concerning is we're obviously still trending down here. The RSI 9 is a pretty strong indicator in terms of overall trend. That's definitely concerning. If you looked at the Williams 60 indicator, we're obviously still trending down here too. So what does that really tell us? I mean, for me personally, the fact that we are now broke through the 13 EMA and we're really seeing it hit this as resistance, and honestly the last 3 days it's done that, it tells me a few things, and basically I think we're going to drop, really. I think this is going to test both the 30 level here in RSI. At a minimum, I think we're going to test the 50 here in the Williams. To do that, I think you see a sharp drop over the next couple probably days into next week, and I think we test 18,200 to 1,800. So really, that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to enter a new long and out or HLTH, which I will get to in a minute. But that's the basis for why I was so concerned today and kind of just sat on the sidelines, which as a trader is completely fine. You're allowed to sit on your hands and do nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's one thing that I'm pretty big on is if you're not comfortable with where the market is, don't trade it. So looking at the SPX, frankly, you can see an almost identical pattern to the Dow. So really, I think, the 13 EMA is now resistance. It was support 2 weeks ago. And really, you see a similar pattern in terms of the downtrend here in the RSI as well as the Williams. So again, I'm bearish in the short term. I'm usually a net long bull. But right now it's kind of teetering on, I think, a 5 to 10% pull down or pullback in the overall market, I think, in the coming weeks. So with that, let's kind of go through our open positions just to get a sense of where we are from a technical analysis standpoint. Looking at SEAN, SEAN has continued to consolidate between the 13 EMA and the 200 EMA. Few things that are good is that we're seeing, continued consolidation here. We haven't broken through support. The bear argument would be you're definitely oversold or overbought. You're due for a pullback. So I'm a little bit concerned the fact that now this is the 5th day in a row we have not broken through the 200-day moving average. Frankly, I think it's the type of situation where we need to break through soon. And given the overall market weakness, I think if we do not, we're probably going to pull back a little bit, probably back down to 8. So again, watching that patiently just to see what happens next. FMSA, down day, but on very low volume. Type of situation here to where we're more or less flat. I think we're up 40 cents. So we're technically not flat on the position, but it's pretty much just trading sideways. You see continued downward pressure here. That said, we are holding the 13 EMA, which is positive and bullish. We are holding the midpoint of both indicators that I follow very strongly. So I think it's something to where, again, we're in the black here. We're in a positive position. It's just a matter of really taking our time and being patient with this play to see exactly what happens next. You can make the argument that you see slightly an ascending triangle pattern here. And what I mean by that is, these positions had to continue to increase, and you're seeing really a strong area of resistance here. So if you pull that out and you extrapolate that a little bit longer, you're going to continue to test this point and eventually pop and break that. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I think we will definitely happen here. It's just a matter of being patient with it and seeing it play out. So right now, really, it's just a matter of seeing the surge in volume that we saw back, in mid-July and early August, come back, have it break through this resistance point, and then test 9 to 10, be a massive winner for us. So that's really what I'm looking at or looking for here. Another position that we are currently in a positive return is BBG. BBG, broke out again today, but pulled back with the overall market. So unfortunately, it's going to trade that way. The good news is we pulled back on low volume, but that said, I still would expect us to trade sideways for the time being. One thing that's going to be positive is when these cross, the 13 EMA and the 200 EMA, if we trade sideways for a little bit, you continue to see the 13 EMA tick up. Eventually what you'll see is this break. And the reason that I say that is there's a few things that are pretty bullish in this. So for starters, you're seeing a nice tick up there. You're seeing a nice tick up here. So what that tells us is there's a lot of upside here. Well, frankly, I think 750 to 775 in the next week or two is definitely, obviously pending the overall macro picture, something that could happen. You see an overall surge in volume here over the average of probably say 1.5 million. We've been well above that, testing 3 and 4 a few times. So, it's definitely some buying pressure here, which is great. Again, just really being patient with this. We're in the black here, so I think it's something that, again, we're just going to have to be patient with. Going to our other long is DVAX, and then we have one short, which I'll get to in a minute. So DVAX, same story here. I think it's pretty telling that we see downward pressure. We pulled back, but we're holding the midpoint really here. Roughly, I would probably say negative 40 in the Williams 60 indicator. So with that, I think the target still is really the 200-day moving average as long as the 13 EMA holds. The unfortunate thing is, although we are trending up, we're basically seeing some downward pressure every time we make new highs on that uptrend. So really, you just see we're continuing to hold that. Not really in a ascending triangle pattern, and the reason I say that is it's not necessarily, there's not many points of resistance here, so it really hit this one, twice, probably 3 times. So I think if we consolidate in this range, we're definitely going to get to the point to where we pop again and test the 200-day moving average. And again, this is a situation where we're in the black. It's a profitable trade. We're just going to sit back and be patient with it and see what happens. And finally, our one short, MITL. This is really playing out exactly as I expected. We are now in the black, although only 10 cents here. So it's obviously a profitable trade. There is, I think, a lot of downside room, though. You're just seeing a massive drop from 8.4, and I think you're going to see continued pressure as resistance in the 13 EMA will find support in the 200 EMA for probably a few days. But once that breaks, I think we drop. Volume has been pretty low here. You can see it's basically been under 400K for the last 2 weeks. With that, you're just seeing a consistent drop. So what that tells you is there's no buyers at these prices. No one's willing to really jump in and kind of make a new position on the long side, so the market maker is really just going to take this all the way down until he finds new support. Where that is most likely where you saw the prior gap up, so that's in the $7 range. So that's our initial target. I think we could fill this gap, which would be huge, but the initial target right now is 7 or roughly 50 cents a share in profit. So look into the the new positions that I want to keep an eye out for is out on the long side as a potential new swing long. This is starting to make some moves, and it did today that I was very, fond of. But again, the overall market kind of scared me away from going long. But tomorrow or the day after, I think I'm going to open up a position here. Reason being is you're seeing some downward pressure. I think even if this pulls back to say 22, 25, I think 22, 25 to 22 even would probably be a nice entry here as long as the 13 EMA holds. And so far it has. So now you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of that holding, seeing an uptick in both of these indicators. I think this could be a nice swing for roughly $1.50 to $2 a share. So that is definitely number one on the watch list tomorrow for a long. And last but not least, to the long side is HLTH. This guy is, it's funny because I would expect it a pullback by now. That did not happen, which is frustrating. we may have missed the boat on this already because I really don't like buying when you're seeing overbought positions here. That said, looking back on it, the buy alert was undoubtedly right around this level here where you saw consolidation and then a massive surge up from 280 to where we are today. What's very telling, though, is that we broke through the 200-day moving average on very strong volume, and we've been holding that ever since. So it tells me that, okay, there's still buyers here. So granted, these are in overbought conditions. That said, I mean, you can still see, and I've seen it dozens of times, you can still see a rally here. And 50 cents, all the way up to 380, if not 4, would be a nice, really nice return. So this is another one I'm continuing to watch. Third point here is why this is very telling is that on a down day or flat day in the overall market, you saw, this close up roughly 2.5%. Tells you that there's buyers regardless of the market activity, and that really it's just a matter of, okay, consolidate for a little bit, let these pull back and then go, or is it just going to rip all the way up to 4? So we're going to look at this. We're going to look at ALT tomorrow. They're the two major positions that I want to follow opening up tomorrow, and I'll obviously break that down in the pre-market watch list and analysis. But if you have any questions, shoot me an email, and we would undoubtedly talk soon. Have a great night.